Hare Krishna, welcome everybody. So today we are going to do the revision for 5th chapter. So before we begin, let me say the prayers to Guru and God. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalake Chakshuru Militamena Tasmai Shri Guruvena Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna.
Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara,
Maheshwara,
Guru Sakshat, Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Guru Namaha.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Thank you, dear Satsang family. So thanks everybody for adding your answers and preparing for the revision. It's just, are you all ready? Can we start the revision? Okay. So let us do a quick recap of Pragma 7 because in the 5th chapter we spoke about Pragma 8. So I thought it would be a good start to first quickly recap the Pragma 7 from the previous chapter. Suchita, you want to do that?
Yes, Guruji. So Pragma 7 is destroy self-doubt. Your conviction in God depends upon your conviction in yourself. So according to Swami Vivekananda, all the powers in the universe are already ours. It is we who have put our hands before our eyes and cry that it is dark. We all know that God created us by putting life into us. God is the life inside us. If we do not believe in ourselves, it implies that we do not believe in God. We need to understand that God designed us for specific purposes. This idea helps strengthen our faith in ourselves. If we do not believe in this and think that God created us just by chance, we cannot build faith in our own selves. Losing self belief is like losing belief in something that God Himself created. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, excellent. Thank you. Beautiful explanation. One more aspect is a lot of people say that I don't believe God exists. But actually, what they are trying to say, what the real doubt is, whether God cares about me. Because it is relatively easier to make a point that God exists. For example, you read a book, the very fact that there is a book means there is an author. Just like that, the very fact there is an universe means there is a creator. So that is easier. But the bigger doubt is, does he care about me? Do I matter? You know? And the answer to that question depends a lot on your own conviction in yourself. If you have faith in yourself that you are on the right track, you have the right everything, that you deserve God's grace, then you are able to feel God's presence. So thank you, Suchita ji. Can you explain Arjuna's confusion at the beginning of chapter 5? I mean, that is pretty much what made Krishna explain about karma sannyasa. Maybe you can help Arjuna clear his confusion. Sulata ji?
Radhe Krishna, Hare Krishna to all. Thank you. Well, Arjuna in his dilemma was initially inclined towards karma sannyasa as he wished to renounce the battlefield to avoid killing his people. Krishna then advises him to perform his duty as a warrior without attachment to results, which is nothing but the essence of Nishkama Karma Yoga. And as Krishna had explained, praised karma sannyasa and also advised to follow Nishkama Karma, Arjuna gets confused. So he thinks that both these paths are contradicting each other and it is not possible to perform both. So Krishna then explains Arjuna that both these paths lead to the same ultimate goal of liberation. However, Nishkama Karma Yoga is superior to Karma Sannyasa. As explained by Krishna, Karma Sannyasa does not mean literally giving up all duties. It is in fact where a person doesn't get engaged in material or social duties and prefers to spend all the time in performing spiritual duties. But the risk here is that as it demands complete dedication to God with 100% focus on spiritual path, a person might falter, losing strength, momentum, getting distracted to material desires. Thus, the person will experience failure both in spiritual path as well as in material world. So Krishna concludes that karma sannyasa is for elevated or self-realized and perfected souls who no longer need to perform material and social duties. Now, when we reiterate Krishna's previous advices to Arjuna, it can be ascertained that Nishkama Karma is the preferable path to Karma Sannyasa for the aspiring souls in spiritual path. Guruji had collected briefly the aspects which Krishna had addressed while convincing Arjuna, so we can just go through that. The challenges of true renunciation. As we know, inaction is literally not possible, because even when we are idle or doing nothing, we are still performing the actions like breathing, digesting food, with other functions of body mechanism ongoing. And we very well know that every action binds us to karmic reaction and in turn to the material world. So hence inaction will not take us towards liberation. So here we can see that performing our prescribed duties, because we cannot be in the state, we can never be in the state of doing nothing. So it's better to prefer performing one's prescribed duties and as a service to God without attachment to results. Second, if we think giving up our prescribed work and sitting in intellectual contemplation can liberate us, then we are in delusion, because the human mind is by nature restless and it tends to go in the direction of its previous habits, brings in variety of thoughts, continues to harbor anger, greed, anxiety, envy, etc. So thus the mind remains impure and we will be far from the process of liberation. And also, if we merely perform work without addressing the purification of mind with the enlightenment, again the mind remains impure. In the divine realm, work is not the criteria God sees, but also the intention which one holds is important. So we can see here Nishkama Karma fits in, can address in both the cases as a preferred course of action, because karma performed with jnana, that is enlightenment, is Nishkama Karma, which leads to bhakti and in turn takes us towards liberation. So with enlightenment, when we have discernment to execute righteous actions and purification of mind, to have right intent and bhakti bhav, and in this mode, when we perform actions as a service to God, it will free us from the karmic reactions. It will not bind us to the karmic reactions and take us towards liberation. And the next aspect is the role model aspect, where Krishna emphasizes that a person, especially a leader or in some responsible position, should act very diligently as others often follow their examples. So Krishna urges Arjuna to perform his prescribed duties as a warrior in the mode of Nishkama Karma and set a precedence to others rather than giving up and misguiding them. The next one is sacrifice and rituals, where when explaining various kinds of sacrifices which we are required to perform, Krishna instructed us to use our intellect to understand the intent and purpose behind it rather than mechanically performing it. So our actions, when we dedicate our actions as a service to God without getting attached to the results, without attachment as well as aversion, it is a form of yajna or sacrifice which we are performing. Thus, the actions performed with this spirit of sacrifice will free us from karmic reaction and once again take us towards liberation. So Krishna urges Arjuna to embrace the path of Nishkama Karma, which is superior to Karma Sannyas.
Excellent. I think your concluding statement itself can be a question. So why is Nishkama Karma superior to Karma Sannyasa?
Nishkama Karma yogis perform their worldly duties and also their spiritual duties. Karma yoga is thus safer and better path for us. We should not try to escape the pain of doing our duties. And as Krishna has explained, doing our duties, sacrificing the result to him, avoiding attachment and aversion will take us to the state of samatvam. This path then liberates us without binding us to the karmic reactions. And also, as with the mathematical analysis, as Guruji had explained us, where we reduce ourselves to zero, and the implication when it is multiplied to any other big number, the result will be nullified or will be zero. That is nothing but when we are not having the sense of doership, ownership, and develop humility, lack of pride, we will be in the mode of surrenderance. And with this mode, when we perform action, Then next will be the divine role will be in play, which will free us, who will free us from karmic reactions and definitely grace us with liberation. So Krishna, and also here Krishna has emphasized to become karma sannyasi, one has to purify and by following nishkama karma yoga and then elevate oneself. But for nishkama karma yogi can attain liberation without getting engaged in karma sannyasa.
Excellent. I think that was a very important point. That to become a karma sannyasi, you need to be eligible to be a karma sannyasi, and for that you have to first be a nishkama karma yogi. Whereas to be a nishkama karma yogi, you don't have to be a sannyasi. So that is pretty much where Krishna is concluding that that's why nishkama karma is superior. Excellent. So do you think you have managed to clear the confusion of Arjuna? Okay. Good job. Thank you so much, Sulata ji. So we discussed the story of a piece of wood which wants to become beautiful. Anika ji, can you explain the story?
Hare Krishna.
Hare
The story involves a piece of wood that's eager to transform into something beautiful. So a skilled sculptor agrees but emphasizes that the wood must be ready for a tough process. As the sculptor begins chiseling, the wood experiences pain and discomfort and pleading for relief. Despite the pleas, the sculptor persists and agrees for a gradual transformation. Eventually, the wood evolves into a beautiful idol of the Lord. So the message here lies on the parallel with our lives. Just like the wood, we also face challenges and discomfort on the path to personal growth. But instead of avoiding these difficulties, we should embrace them, seeking strength to endure and learn from them. So the story teaches us that enduring life's chiseling can lead to more spiritually evolved and beautiful self.
Excellent. Very concisely put. Thank you, Anika ji.
Hare Krishna, thank you. This was taken from your notes, my approach.
No, that's very humble of you, but I can see that you have taken the notes, but you have also condensed it. So which is also good. Thank you. So Ekash ji, can you explain why bhava is so important?
Hare Krishna Guruji, Hare Krishna everyone. So before we dive deep into why bhava is important, it is necessary for all of us to understand what bhava actually means. Bhava indicates the intention of a human being. Lord Krishna has asked us to focus on our bhava or what our intentions actually are. For example, we might be doing puja day and night with all the rituals, but our inner bhava is not to serve God, it is something else. However, it is corrupted with different thoughts. It could be negative or it could be any other thoughts. So, Shri Krishna has asked us to engage our mind with God because it is what actually is more important. If bhava is right, achieving liberation will be more easy. So we need to keep in mind it is all about performing our duties as renunciation in action, but without attachment and with right bhava. I would also like to add, it is also said by Shirdi Sai Babaji that one namaskara with the bhava is enough. So it is similar. If you do one namaskara to the God with pure bhava, it will be enough for him.
Very nice. Thank you so much. Beautifully put. And Krishna has also said in a different location, Patram, Pushpam, Phalam, Toyam. So where he has said that, you can just offer me a leaf. You can offer me just one flower, that's enough. But what is important is, do you have the right mindset, bhava? So excellent. Thank you so much. What are the three qualities we should possess while performing Nishkama Karma Yoga? Rajesh ji?
Hare Krishna, everyone.
Hare Krishna.
So Sri Krishna talks about three qualities that we all should possess while performing Nishkam Karma Yoga. They are Vishuddhatma, Vijitatma, and Jitendriya. Vishuddhatma is a purified intellect. Vijitatma is having a control over mind. And Jitendriya is having the control over our senses. A person who has acquired these three qualities is always in the Krishna consciousness and cannot think of any other living being as separate from Krishna. So everyone is dear to such a person, and as their work as a Nishkama Karma Yogi, that makes them dear to everyone. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Very well put. Very well put. Yeah. So how to influence people and make friends? Vishuddhatma, Vijitatma, and Jitendriya. That is Krishna's magic formula. Okay. How can we achieve these qualities, Rajeshji?
So the study or understanding of the sacred scriptures like Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam, they will help us to achieve the Vishuddhatma. We should always rely on such descending knowledge which will help us purify our intellect. In Kali Yuga, the best way to control the mind and achieve or become Vijitatma is constant chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra or Om Namo Narayana mantra. We should always keep the holy name of God in our mind. And finally, becoming Jitendriya, which is controlling our senses, is not very easy. In one of our sessions, we talked about 5 animals: Kuranga, Matanga, Patanga, Meena, and Bringa, each having a weakness for one sense organ. Kuranga is a deer with a weakness for sound. Matanga is elephant, which has a weakness for touch. Patanga, moth, having weakness for a light, which is the sense of sight. Meena, fish, with a weakness of taste. And Bringa, bee, which has a weakness for smell. So each of these animal with just one sense that can cause their demise, right? And we human being, we have weakness for all 5 senses. So it's really very important for us to control our senses and become Jitendriya. Krishna has given an example of a tortoise who withdraws all its limbs into the shell when it senses the disturbance. So like tortoise, we should withdraw our sense organs from the object of sense. However, just depriving ourselves from the sense object is not enough, as the craving or the thought of those sensory objects stays with us. We should replace such thoughts with the thoughts of God. We can engage in a service of God like a puja or chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra a few times. So to become Jitendriya, first step is to withdraw our senses from the sense object, and a second is substitute the thought of the sense object with the thought of the God. Hare Krishna.
Very nicely put. Thank you, Rajeshji. I think it's very concise, very important. So I hope everybody got it. So we discussed the story of a thief who was running away from the police and how he landed up receiving Krishna's grace. So what was the story? Sujataji, you want to quickly recollect that?
Yes, Guruji. Hare Krishna, everyone. This story tells us the importance of bhakti and bhava and faith, which is extremely important to get the grace of Sri Krishna. So this story is about a thief who is running away from the police who were chasing him. When the thief was running, he came across a crowd of people all sitting and listening to a Panditji who was speaking about Srimad Bhagavatam. Thief thinks that he will join the crowd and then it will be easy to hide and the cops won't be able to find him. So he enters the crowd and sits down and starts listening to the stories of the of Sri Krishna. There the Panditji speaks about a beautiful blue-skinned boy named Krishna who lives in Vrindavan and who wears a lot of ornaments with exotic gemstones. The thief thinks, wow, I must meet this boy and steal a few precious ornaments from him. So he then goes to Vrindavan looking for Krishna. He had so much faith in Krishna's existence that he genuinely started searching for him. And he manages to actually find Krishna near the banks of the river, and he's stunned to see the beauty of Krishna. He also sees Krishna wearing many necklaces with precious gemstones. So he asks Krishna, "Can you give me one of your necklace?" Krishna says, "No, I cannot give you because my mother knows exactly what all I am wearing, and even if one of them is missing, she will scold me." The thief keep insisting and asking Krishna, saying, "You have so many necklaces. Why don't you give me just one?" And Krishna is equally adamant, and he keeps saying, "No, I cannot give you any because my mother will scold me." However, during this back and forth discussion with Krishna, the thief gets totally purified. He suddenly realizes that all those jewels means nothing to him, and what was more precious was Krishna's presence in front of him. He bows to Krishna and seeks his blessings. He then remembers that it all started because of the Panditji who spoke about Krishna. So he goes back to the Panditji and tells him, "You were speaking about the blue-skinned boy Krishna. I just met him, and he's truly magnificent and beautiful." The Panditji says, "You must be joking. How can you actually meet Krishna?" The thief, who's like self-realized soul, says, "What do you mean? Uh, of course, I met him. You were the one who told me that he lives in Vrindavan. Why don't you come with me and I'll show him to you." So, out of curiosity, Panditji goes with the thief to Vrindavan, and the thief shouts in joy, "See, here is Krishna." Um, However, the Panditji is not able to see Krishna. He keeps saying, "I don't see anybody." Then the thief requests Krishna, "Oh Krishna, please show yourself to this Panditji, otherwise he will think I am a liar." So to save him from being called as a liar, Krishna starts speaking to Panditji. The Panditji feels overwhelmed and says, "Krishna, but why am I not able to see you?" Krishna says that this thief has had absolute faith in my existence, so he could see me, whereas you, being learned, were only talking intellectually about me without any real faith in me. So you cannot see me. Go and purify yourself, and once you develop faith and purify yourself, I will show myself to you. So the moral of the story is that faith and devotion are the most important ingredients. They will help us develop all the other qualities, help us purify, and get closer to Shri Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Yay. This beautiful story, beautifully put. You have said it very nicely, Sujata ji. So this kind of connects a lot of teachings in one place, like the bhava, humility, lack of pride, bhava, faith being so important. Okay. So in many scriptures, you will see the same theme repeat. Even in the Christian scriptures, you will see. Even Jesus will say that if you have faith, even as small as a seed, rice seed, then you can move mountains. That is the kind of tattparya. So let us all continue our purification progress, be consistent, and that will help us develop that faith. Faith will not come like this. It's a process, but I'm very confident that we will all get there. Okay, thank you. So why is the lotus given special status, and what lesson can we learn from this, Chitraji?
Okay, Hare Krishna. Can you hear me?
Yes.
So, in 5.10, Shri Krishna reiterates performing duties without attachment and dedicating one's actions to the divine. He emphasizes just as the lotus leaf remains untouched by water, one should remain unaffected by abandoning attachment and the bhav of doership, thereby remaining unaffected by the sense. When actions are performed with pure bhav and selflessness without ego and attachment, one doesn't accumulate karmas, neither good nor bad. Such actions are pure, and thus the individual remains untainted. And as per Wikipedia, I googled, so in Hindu tradition, the lotus is the symbol of what is divine or immortal in humanity, and also symbolizes divine perfection. The lotus is the attribute of sun and fire gods. It symbolizes the realization of inner potentials, and in tantric and yogic tradition, it symbolizes the potential of an individual to harness the flow of energy moving through the chakras. So, as per my understanding, lotus itself is one of the most beautiful flowers among the flower kingdom. Lotus is also symbolic of the intrinsic nature of one within. Just as the lotus flower is surrounded by water, where the water is clear, unclear, muddy, stagnant, etc. By default, we as souls are beautiful within and surrounded and are also surrounded by Maya in the form of materialistic worldly duties and pleasures. So Lord's feet are also addressed as lotus feet, symbolizing the sacredness being unaffected to the impurities surrounded. It teaches us that if one stays consistently on path, of bhakti and pure devotion with love and detachment, even in the midst of being surrounded by worldly distractions in form of Maya, one will blissfully continue to beautifully bloom as the flower of lotus and stay unaffected and provide bliss to one's eyes. I can also share my personal experience here. Just to explain the same context, I feel even though in my work I'm surrounded by people who are extremely vulnerable in various facets of life, whether that be mental, physical, medical, personal, emotional, psychological, I feel I'm constantly being divinely guided to help and support and uplift such beings. And it is only due to this divine path of bhakti and, of course, grace of Prabhuji and Radharani and all of the satsang members that I'm unable to survive and I'm able to survive and be where I am in my conscience and perform the duty to guide the vulnerables. I'm able to, or at least try to, aim to detach myself with the feeling of doership and ownership and accept that I'm neither the cause nor the effect, but just a medium chosen by the Lord in spreading his divine love with those who need it the most. And this question just reminded me of Radharani's feet that are considered as lotus feet, and they are as mesmerizing and delicate, worshipped by Lord Shri Krishna. So, Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Chitraji. Beautiful. Thank you so much, and really appreciate the personal experience you shared. We are all very happy to learn that the lessons of Krishna and the satsang, they are helping you in your job as well. So that's really wonderful to hear. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And I think the next question also you can take, Chitraji. What is the role of divine knowledge in achieving moksha?
Yes, Prabhuji. So as per 5.17, those whose intellect is fixed in God, wholly absorbed in God, and have firm faith in God, is God. Or is it in God?
In God, yeah.
In God. Their ignorance and impurities are cleaned by light of divine knowledge, and then they attain moksha. I'm not sure if I'm quoting this one right, if it's 327 or something else, but all actions are driven by three modes of nature, but we are eluded into it and not necessarily the doers. Some actions are just happening without our contribution. Prakriti is responsible for this. Utterly foolish are those who are under mode of ignorance, false ego and identity. The true knowledge gets hidden or disguised by fog of ignorance that leads us to false actions. And ego is the one that doesn't let us acknowledge ignorance. Self-purification is the key, and ignorance can be trampled only through such divine knowledge. Humans have the capability to filter their actions that are caused by external factors and those by the higher level of consciousness. We have the capacity to distinguish between such actions. Divine knowledge is the ladder to bhakti. It gives us the wisdom to understand our aspects of nature, that is para, which is higher level of consciousness, and apara, governs our instincts and impulse. That is the lower level of consciousness. Para needs lot of efforts, needs awareness and conscious efforts, whereas apara prakriti is always there. We all are a mix of both. Whenever possible, we need to keep a watch on this. It also helps us to keep a watch on one's inner saboteur. When one is controlled and their actions are guided by apara prakriti, can lead to crime or negative actions. One should recognize and use the wisdom based on Krishna's knowledge and teachings. Use the knowledge and utilize intellect and the free will. This is the quality that makes humans unique over other species. Something happened. The cursor just
He's on
changed.
earth. Yeah. You want me to continue that answer?
Yes, please, Prabhuji.
Yeah, so the other species, they don't have the intellect to distinguish between higher and lower nature. They don't differentiate between para prakriti and apara prakriti. So that is a
Once
gift
this-
given
yeah,
to
so-
given. Yeah.
Should-
And we should always be understanding that God is above all and God is the ultimate doer and the receiver. So basically what you have summarized is this divine knowledge is what helps us understand this distinction between para prakriti, apara prakriti, and the fact that we are not a doer, and that helps us establish faith more firmly and grow stronger on the path of bhakti yoga. Beautifully put, you have put correctly, and you also quoted the right sloka 327,
Acha.
where Krishna makes a very strong statement. He says, Ahankara vimudhatma kartaham iti manyate. That is where he says that the utterly foolish, deluded souls, they think they are the doers. So excellent. I think you have done justice to the answer. Thank you, Chitraji.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
So why is self-purification so important, Deepaji?
Hare Krishna, everyone. Self-purification is important as it is the only key to rise above ignorance and help us to live a life that is aligned with our higher self. Now, Guruji has explained the importance of self-purification by sharing an analogy of the light of the sun that spreads brightness and clears the darkness of the night. It's our own ignorance that will come in the way of seeking divine knowledge. This divine knowledge is compared to the light of the sun that will clear away our ignorance and achieve self-realization. Thus, when we dive into the spiritual knowledge, we develop our true knowledge, and the result is it's our true nature shines brightly. The true essence of Vedanta is that all humans are inherently pure and free and reflecting pure consciousness and light. However, when we are misguided, this light dims, leading to making wrong choices. In Bhagavad Gita, nature, also referred to as Prakriti, is not restricted to the physical world. It has two dimensions, which means there's ordinary and this extraordinary. Nature in its highest form is also seen as the divine mother or the ultimate energy source and referred as Sakti, responsible for creating, sustaining, and withdrawing the universe. Accordingly, in our lives, we experience both lower and higher energy. So when we act out of selfishness, that's when we are acting out of lower energy. And when we act out of compassion and love, it is the higher energy that is taking place. We human beings are gifted to decide which energy we want to act from versus animals who only act purely on instincts. And refer to Bhagavad Gita, Shloka 5.17. Tad buddhyasa, tad amanasa, tad nishtasa, tad paryana. Gachati apura avita, jnana niruddha kamlasa. So Sri Krishna explains this very nicely. Those whose intellect is fixed in God, who are wholly absorbed in God, who have firm faith in God, their ignorance and impurities are cleansed by the light of divine knowledge and they attain liberation. So in summation, this is the way of self-purification process. And this has been explained beautifully in the Bhagavad Gita by Sri Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Thank you. Beautiful answer. So the follow-up, you said that we should not think that we are the doer. So is then God the actual cause of everything that happens in the world? If not, who is? Can you explain, Deepaji?
Yeah, thank you, Guruji, for this wonderful question. So who is the actual doer of everything that happens in the world? when we say we are not and God is not. And that this is explained in Shloka 5.15. न कर्तृत्व न कर्मणि लोकस्य सुजति प्रभुः न कर्म न फल्य संयोग स्वभावतु प्रवर्तते. Neither the sense of doership nor the nature of action comes from God, nor does He create the fruits of action. All this is created by the modes of material nature. In this word, Prabhu has been used to God to indicate He is the Lord of the world. He is omnipotent and controls the entire universe. He remains the non-doer. He neither directs our action nor does He order us to perform a particular virtuous or evil deed. Therefore, God is not responsible for our getting stuck in a sense of doership. Shri Krishna explains that it is our gunas, the main causes of all our various actions. The three gunas are sattvic, goodness, rajasic, passion, and tamasic, ignorance or badness. So our body consists of three gunas and all our actions are performed by three modes of nature. It is our innate nature, similar to animal instinct, that makes us behave in a particular way. Thereby, it is not God who is guiding us to behave in our actions, but our own inherent, deeply embedded nature that's directing us to do acts in a certain way. Here is where we need to realize there is a higher aspect and more intelligent side that is more conscious in all its actions. Two dimensions to our basic nature is explained beautifully in the Vedantas as follows. So, action driven by inherent nature are referred to as apara prakriti, and the higher consciousness nature is referred to as para prakriti. The latter is all about being conscious in all our responses and actions. And Guruji has also explained us this very nicely. For example, if someone insults us for a basic nature, if somebody insults us, our basic nature or reaction would be to retort. However, if we use our para prakriti, we will pause, reflect, and then respond calmly. This is the importance of para prakriti for all of us, wherein higher nature is overshadowed and ignored. It is similar to a coin of two sides. One side is impulsive and inherent, and the second one is higher side that guides us to respond more wisely. Therefore, we must make the wiser side shine more often. If we are able to control our lower nature and focus more on the higher nature and let it take the lead, we will be able to progress spiritually and morally. Hare Krishna.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you so much. Just a minor correction. This is the importance of Paraprakriti, wherein lower nature is overshadowed.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you have put higher nature, so you can just.
Sorry.
Quick correction. Excellent answer. Thank you, Deepaji. I really like how we have collected things together. Thank you. This time everybody has put in so much efforts. It's so inspiring. Chitraji, Deepaji, everybody. So what is the vision of knowledge as taught by Krishna? Smitaji? Smitaji, you are on mute.
Thank you for the question, Guruji. Yeah, sorry, I didn't realize. Okay, so this chapter 5 of Bhagavad Gita is the Karma Sannyasa Yoga, which basically translates to the Yoga of Renunciation. So in this chapter, Lord Krishna expounds on the paths of renunciation, sannyasa, and selfless action. So vision of knowledge, in short, is in context relates to understanding the ultimate reality and perceiving the unity in diversity. So basically, it means treating everybody how you would treat yourself in the same way, a rich man, a poor man, or even an animal. Everybody you have to look at them in the same light with equanimity. So there are 5 descriptions to this. So one is the unity in diversity. So Sri Krishna explains that a person with the vision of knowledge sees the same divine principle in all beings, irrespective of the external forms and attributes. Such a person perceives unity in diversity and recognizes that all beings are manifestations of the same divine principle. So basically what he's trying to say is, everybody is the same. Like if you look upon everyone as yourself, like how you would treat yourself, irrespective of how they are or how they are formed, how their material accomplishments or the way they're physically formed, if you look at them in the same way, then you are one step closer to where you want to be spiritually. So equanimity. So equanimity is a person with a true vision of knowledge remains equanimous in all situations. He or she does not get elated by praise or disturbed by criticism. So nothing can actually trouble their balance that they have, or upset their balance. So they're like either success or in failure or in joy or in sorrow. All these dualities are removed. There is no duality because they are one with that supreme power. So irrespective of anything that come in their life, they sail smoothly. So that is called equanimity. And the path of renunciation was selfless action. I think this has been covered a lot by all of the other people who read today very nicely. So just to add to that, Sri Krishna explains that both renunciation and selfless action lead to liberation. So there is karma yoga and there is sannyasa yoga. However, he emphasizes the path of selfless action is superior, as it is easier to practice and more conducive for spiritual growth, like doing your actions, basically doing your duty. So the next thing is detached involvement. So this is, one can be actively involved in the world and yet remain detached by offering all actions to the divine. So this path of renunciation and detached involvement is somewhat, both of them are intertwined, and accepting all outcomes as the divine will. So this detached involvement allows one to act without being bound by the fruits of action. So I like how we discussed during when we walked through these shlokas. So fully participate in the drama of life, because this whole thing is a playground, and it's like a play, and we are all characters in this play. So fully participate in that drama of life, because one needs to act and perform one's duties. You cannot not act, but detach yourself from any outcome, results, expectation. So it's something like an inaction in action. So you're actually acting, but you're inactive in the sense that you're not expecting anything from your action. Like if you put in a lot of effort and do something, I guess you cannot expect that, okay, I put in effort, I have to get it. I mean, that's something that is very hard to practice in real life. But the more and more you read about this, it becomes very apparent, because the results are not just driven by your effort. There's a ton of things in the universe which actually combines towards that result. So beyond rituals. So Sri Krishna indicates that mere ritualistic practices and external renunciation are not sufficient for liberation. So this is not to say that, or not to be biased against a person who does their rituals, like their morning prayers or something. It's not like that. What he's trying to say, or what I try to understand from this, is like, it's not just that, like if you just have practices, just have external renunciation, it's not sufficient. It should come from within. True knowledge and liberation comes from understanding the self and realizing its unity with the divine. So if you don't practice all of the above five before this beyond rituals, but you kind of externally do a lot of these ritualistic practices, that's not going to help. Although maybe the gunas that you're born with, maybe the sattva guna may increase a little bit and you may go in that direction, but you need to feel that from within. You need to practice it, like walk the talk. So if you do all your ritual practices, then you walk that talk. That means look upon everybody in the same light, try to treat everyone the same way. So that's what he's trying to expound here. And not against any practices, but if you're doing that, you walk that talk too. Surrender. Ultimately, surrendering to the divine and performing all actions as an offering to God leads to liberation. Such a surrender frees one from all bondage and purifies the mind. So all these above paths is only coming to, it's like a culmination point, and that point is just surrendering yourself to God. So that is something that, like, our ego may not permit at times. Our intelligence will come in the way, but when you actually go through all these things, and the final point is, yes, you completely surrender yourself to God. So I just included 2 shlokas which basically highlights everything that is written above. So Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane Gavihastini Shunichaiva Shvapake Panditaha Sama Darshinaha. So this is the truly learned with the eyes of divine knowledge. See the equal vision, a Brahmin, a priest who's endowed with learning and ability, an animal, an elephant, a dog, and an outcast. Like you call this achut. Everybody is the same, like, because they're all formed from that same seed that is Krishna. From them, we are all spawned from that same one seed. So, in explanation, Sri Krishna talks about seeing all beings with an equal eye, whether it's a learned Brahmin, an animal, or an outcast. A wise person views them all with the same divine vision. This equal vision comes from understanding that the same divine principle resides in all beings, irrespective of the external forces and social standing. So this is like, irrespective of whoever is born, like he could be born in a poor family, rich family, he could be beautiful, not beautiful. The same three gunas exist in him. It's just that the balance of the gunas are different in each people. So, but that is what is a divine principle. All of us are made of those three gunas. It's the same thing wherever you're born, however you're born. So if you look deeply, that's what it is. So going one step further in Shloka 5.19, Ihaivatayr jitaha sargo esham samye stitam manaha nirdosham hi samam brahma tasmad brahmani te stitaha. So basically this is those whose minds are established in the sameness, in the equanimity which I spoke of earlier, have already conquered the conditions of birth and death. Like in the same lifetime, you can actually attain that moksha or that liberation, which every one of us are, the journey, the number of births you take, everything is you take, your final goal is to be birthless, basically no more birth. So if you're practicing these, you're already there. They are flawless like the Brahman, and they are already situated in Brahman. So this verse signifies that those who have achieved a state of equanimity and see the divine equally in all beings have essentially transcended the cycle of birth and death. Such individuals are in a state of flawlessness and purity, similar to the ultimate reality, who is Brahman, because they reside in a state of divine unity and understanding. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Thank you, Smitaji, for the elaborate answer. Did anyone have any questions for Smitaji? Okay, I think she covered a lot in that one answer. But I think you also quoted the right slokas there. So I think it's pretty complete. Thank you, Smitaji. Why are all emotions and sensory pleasures temporary, Ashaji?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So, all emotions and sensory pleasures are temporary, and the eternal happiness and bliss is hidden. One second. Sorry for the disturbance.
No problem.
All emotions and sensory pleasures are temporary, and the eternal happiness and bliss is hidden inside ourselves. Modern science has proven that different emotions and sensations translate to different chemical reactions in the brain and our body. If we are happy, there is a certain chemical that gets generated. If we are anxious, there is another certain chemical which gets generated, and so on. So every emotion we feel and everything we feel through our senses are all translating to some chemicals in our body. But one thing is attached with the chemicals is the expiry date. What it means is that no matter what emotions you feel or what sensory enjoyment you are having, they will all have an expiration date. They are very temporary. The only permanent feeling is the feeling of true bliss, which happens only when we realize our own self, rise above our senses and emotions by maintaining samatvam and achieving a state of sthita-prajna, and learning to see equality in everything using the divine knowledge imparted by Krishna. Krishna is saying that we need to seek inside to get true happiness. We are all busy seeking outside in wrong direction. Seeking happiness is in itself is not wrong thing. What is wrong is seeking happiness through our senses and the external world. So what Krishna is saying, that true spiritual enlightenment is achieved when one is established in Brahman, the ultimate reality. Being established in Brahman is the ultimate goal of human life. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So what are the top 2 vikaras we must conquer according to Krishna? Ashaji?
So actually, in different culture, there are different vikaras has been explained, but Krishna is picking only top 2 vikaras, which are very important. Krishna is saying kama and krodha, that means lust and anger, are the top 2 vikaras that we must conquer. Krishna tells us that these are very strong and powerful forces, and whoever succeed in overcoming these by constant practice of yoga would called as a yogi. Krishna teaches that Krishna's advice might seem simple at first glance, raises the urges of desire and anger, but this is profound. Desire is like a flood of thoughts running throughout something we want. If something blocks this flood, the resulting frustration is anger. The more intense the desire, the stronger the anger when obstructed. For someone who has achieved inner peace, detachment, these emotions are minimal. Without desire, there is no room for anger. A person who controls these powerful emotions can live happily in the life challenges. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Ashaji. We'd appreciate that concise answer. Anika ji, can you quote the 3-point peace formula?
Yes, Hare Krishna. In verse 5.29, Krishna said, Bhoktaram yatnya tapasam sarva loka maheshwaram suhritam sarva bhutanam nyatva mam shantim rachiti. Having realized me as the enjoyer of all sacrifices and austerities, the supreme lord of all the worlds and the selfless friend of all living beings, my devotee attains peace. So the conditioned souls within the clutches of the illusory energy are all anxious to attain peace in this material world. So when we understand the 3-point peace formula, we will be inclined to surrender to God and thus attain bhakti or divine love. So the 3-point peace formula includes Bhoktaram Yatnya Tapasam, which states that Krishna is the enjoyer of all austerities, sacrifices, and penances. So no matter to whom or which demigod you may be doing a yajna or performing a puja, it ultimately reaches Krishna. We should all realize that we are not the enjoyer nor the masters. Rather, we are Krishna's servants, and our enjoyment should be the joy of giving enjoyment to Krishna. So this encourages us to perform our duties with the right bhav of bhakti as a service to Krishna. When we know this, we'll be devoid of a sense of doership, thereby making us humble. Next is Sarvaloka Maheshwaram, where Krishna is the supreme controller of all the worlds and all the beings, both material and spiritual. We should not be attached to the outcomes as we do not control them. Only Krishna has the control to all our outcomes. With this, we'll be devoid of a sense of ownership and pride. And in this mindset, we tend to offer all our worries to God as we won't be owning anything, thereby clearing the path of our worries. And last but not the least, Suhridam Sarva Bhutana, where Krishna is our selfless friend and is our eternal wisher. When we take a step towards Krishna, he'll take 10 steps towards us. With this, Krishna is a supporter, an ultimate friend to trust, and a shoulder to rely on 24/7.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Anika ji. Beautiful. So Hridam Sarva Bhutanam is actually the most comforting part of what Krishna says here. So he loves all of us. Let us never forget that. Okay. So can you explain Pragma 8, Lakshmi ji? Lakshmi ji here. Here. You are on mute, Lakshmi ji.
Okay, sorry. Is it okay now?
Yes.
Yeah. Hare Krishna to everyone. One second. Hare Krishna to everyone. There are 4 paths, 6 obstacles, and 1 goal. Be committed and consistent with yoga. Vanquish your vikaras. You will find God then. There are 4 main parts of yogas. Jnana yoga, that's yoga of knowledge and wisdom. Bhakti yoga, yoga of devotional service and divine love. Karma yoga, yoga of selfless action. Raja yoga, yoga of physical and mental health. Many great sages and seers have repeatedly said that all the 4 paths lead to the same ultimate goal for self-realization, union with Brahman, and ultimate liberation. There are many negative qualities of our senses, the major 6 obstacles of vikaras that we all born, which we should try to overcome. Kama, lust, krodha, anger, moha, attachment, lotha, greed, matsarya, loka, kama,
Loba.
krodha, loba.
Yeah. Loba is greed. Yeah.
Loba, I think. Oh, the Google has changed Lotha. I'm sorry.
No problem.
Matsarya is jealousy, and ahankar is the arrogance and ego. And in sloga 5.223, it's what's Shaknodi haivaya sodum praksharir vimokshanat kama krodhat bhavam vegam sayuktaksa suginaragam. In this world, that kamam and krodham, these are the two, the lust and the anger, are the one. Whoever overcomes this one, he will able to attain the state of liberation. That's a one. It's a small one. The first two things in our life we have. So in this human form, whoever is able to withstand the remnants current arising from lust and anger will be yogi and a happy being.
Thank you. Lakshmi.
Yeah.
So there are two parts to it. The first part is the warning. The warning is that lust
Yeah.
and anger, they are very powerful.
Yeah.
And so we shouldn't be handling them from a position of ego. Like, I'm going to overcome lust. I'm going to overcome anger. It's not going to happen. So we have to approach it from a humility. And Krishna is saying, if you can handle those two currents, then that itself qualifies you to be a yogi. Excellent. So that leads to the next one. Can you explain the concept of Jivana Mukta, Lakshmi ji?
Yeah, the term Jivan Mukta is the combination of two words. Jivana means life, Mukta means liberation. Jivan Mukta can be understood as someone who is liberated while still living. The one, liberation means breaking free from the endless cycle of suffering and rebirth. It is possible to achieve spiritual freedom and realization while still living in the physical body. Two, the realization of the oneness of the individual soul, Atman, with the ultimate reality, Brahman. They see Samatvam in all of creation. And there is no longer personal gain or pleasure as they have transcended the ego's demands. Fourth one, they remain undisturbed by the worldly circumstances. They know nothing is permanent in this world. Six, they have empathy for others. No fear of punishment, no desire for reward. Advaita Vedanta emphasizes the self-inquiries and the realization of non-duality as means of liberation. Bhakti, which self-realization means Agam Brahmasmi. Once you understand the Agam Brahmasmi, then everything, the liberation is, and the path is coming to you. Bhakti focus with love, practices, conviction are the basic steps. Here, Adi Shankaracharya, Ramana Maharishi, and Swami Vihan, there are so many. These are the examples of the Jivan Muktas.
Very nice. Thank you so much. And Shankaracharya has said this beautifully in Bhaja Govindam. He said,
Punarabijan.
yeah, Satsangatve Nissangatvam, Nissangatve
Mohatve. Yeah. Even he said
Nishalatatvam, Nishalatatve Jivana Mukti. So that he has pointed out that we can actually get liberation even in this life itself. So excellent. Kudos, big round of applause to everybody, all the satsang members for successfully completing chapter 5 and such a beautiful revision. I'm really grateful to everybody. You have all put in so much efforts into the revision. It's really, really touching. And I'm sure Krishna is also smiling at all of you. And this is the right way to make progress. This is service to Krishna in a way. And this is all Krishna wants. So thank you once more. And with that, we complete chapter 5. Next session, we are going to start chapter 6. And chapter 6 is Dhyana Yoga. So see you all in the next session. Hare Krishna. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you for giving this, because I want to tell about, the commandment. That's the one. Yours, I want to say, Krishna Davadis.
Thank you.
Immediately refer that one, and then it's very simple. And then instead of, I didn't Google or anything else, see that one. This is very nice, and then I understand. That's I want to reiterate. Thank you.
No, most welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.